one more short story. Thank you for joining us on another edition of One More Short Story with me, Chris Fulwell. Really glad to have you here. Now, whether you're here because you've come across the show on social media or you subscribed on our Patreon, whether you're a core or a premium subscriber, very, very pleased to have you here. It's been so good to see so many of you engaging with the stories, sharing them with the people in your lives who enjoy short, high-quality fiction. We are rapidly approaching 2,000 downloads since the start of the year. I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for your ongoing support. The show today is themed around crime and punishment. Sounds a bit heavy, I know, but you are going to enjoy these. We've got 3 excellent stories, all very different in style, and I cannot wait to get cracking. This may be the first ever episode we've had where every story is narrated by its own author, which is exciting. Means you don't have to listen to me for quite so long, which is always a good thing. I love it when writers want to take ownership and narrate their own story. Equally, there is no pressure to do so. We've got an army of great narrators ready to go, and it's good to have a range of voices on the show too. So, if you're a writer, if you're a narrator, if you're interested in the show, please do get in touch. And I will continue to keep a very close eye on the writing battle stories as they come in. As ever, there will be links to the stories in the episode description, and if you want to check out any content warnings or read the story in advance, making sure it's right for you, that sort of thing, you're very, very welcome to do so. Our first story today is Bourbon and Maraschino Cherries by Annie Benham. Now, this is from the short story contest in the autumn. It's a 2,000-worder. It was in the true crime genre. Lots of really, really interesting takes on true crime, how that's presented, how we consume that as a society. Now, what Annie's done with her prompts here, which were true crime, awards show, and trickster, is terrific. It's a really lovely, if I say noir, I don't think I'm giving too much away there in style. Here we go. Story 1 for today. We have Bourbon and Maraschino Cherries, written and narrated by Annie Benham.
Loosening his tie, August slid onto one of the stools of the hotel bar. Behind him, an orchestral fanfare welcomed the next winner to the stage. He placed the heavy crystal award on the bar top with care. It had taken 8 years and multiple nominations, but August had finally won. A petite brunette looked up from the tumbler she was cleaning and lifted a quizzical eyebrow at the trophy. "What can I get you?" "I'll take an old-fashioned." August admired his prize as the bartender made his drink. The low lighting in the room caught the etched lines of the fingerprint design within the multifaceted crystal perfectly to cast shards of light across the worn wood of the bar top. "You just carry that around in case a brawl breaks out and you have to brain somebody?" The woman nodded toward the award as she mixed his drink. Hooking a thumb over his shoulder towards the hotel's ballroom, he explained, "I was at the DocuCrime Awards." "The what?" "The DocuCrime Awards. They're the 3rd most prestigious honor for true crime content creators." "You say that like it should mean something to me." He grumbled. "They've got signs up for it all over the lobby." She shrugged and set the glass in front of him. "They have something going on here every weekend. I can't keep track. And I'm not all that into true crime anyways. Can I take a look?" He nodded and took a sip of the amber liquid. She picked it up, testing the heft in her hand before reading the inscription. "Best Episodic Podcast, Duplicity." She set the award back down on the bar with a loud thunk, drawing a cringe from him. "So you make podcasts about murderers?" "Nah, murder's an oversaturated market. My show covers con artists." "Like Ponzi schemes?" August shrugged. "Not always. My very first show was about a sweetheart scam. This bored housewife, Andrea? He gave a dismissive wave. "Anyway, she started up an affair with a hotshot real estate investor. One thing led to another, and he convinced her to let him handle her investments. promised to triple their money. She gave him the family's life savings, and he pulled a better disappearing act than David Copperfield. Yikes! But her husband didn't care for that. Not even a little. He divorced her and took their kid. It was ugly. August sipped from his drink, chasing away the memory with the burn of bourbon. Seems like it worked out for you, though, all things considered. The woman motioned toward the award. I mean, it's not a Clue award or anything. We aren't rubbing elbows with Nancy Grace in there. But it's recognition of my work. And let me tell you, I've been busting my ass at this job for a long time. I needed a win. He threw back the drink, draining the glass with a cough. August tapped the bar. Give me another. Whoa there, cowboy. You know that's a sipping drink, right? She took the empty glass and set about mixing its follow up. August. Hmm? She didn't look up, and he gave her an approving once over. Her dark brown hair was highlighted by streaks of purple and blue, and one lock fell down over her pixie-like face. There were no fashion runways in her future, but she was cute in a sort of counterculture way. Maybe a little young, but she had to at least be 18, or she wouldn't be serving alcohol. I'm August. Nice to meet you, August. I'm Trina. Setting the fresh cocktail in front of him, Trina leaned against the back counter, arms crossed, apparently sizing him up. See something you like? August flashed her a charming smile over the rim of the glass, raising an eyebrow suggestively. I was just wondering why you needed a win so bad. Because it's a cutthroat business. I've spent countless hours researching, recording, editing. Everybody's looking for fame, but success doesn't come overnight. You have to work for it. The real payday is in murder, if you can hack it. Most people try murder content first. Hell, even I tried my hand at it, but I couldn't break into the market. I gave it up for con artists instead. But I'd still like to get a little respect for my work. It takes time and talent to build an audience of grifties, too. Grifties? Something I call my fans. You know, like Swifties, but for grifters. Trina groaned. That's a terrible pun. You haven't heard what I call the other fans yet. He rattled through them, ticking each one off on his fingers. Frosted Flakes love cold cases. People who are into forensic stories are boneheads. Then you've got SAPs, self-appointed PIs. They're addicted to unsolved cases. They all think they'll be the one to solve it. And fans of serial killer cases? Sociopaths. August gave her a wink and took another gulp. It burned more than the last. She must have given it a heavy pour of the bourbon. He leaned on the bar, pointedly taking in her attractive figure. Trina's hazel eyes sparkled with amusement, and August felt his face flush slightly. Maybe he could take home a couple prizes tonight. He had her to himself, since everyone else was still in the ceremony. The clicking of heels on marble-tiled floor drew his attention back to the lobby, fearful he'd jinxed it, and their privacy was about to be invaded. A woman in her mid-30s, in a formal gown adorned with entirely too many sequins, cradled her own docucrime award and chatted with a young fan outside the bar. Callie Collins. August scowled in the bottle blonde's direction and tossed back the remainder of his drink, grimacing as the liquid seared the back of his throat. Another. Friend of yours? Trina asked, dropping a sugar cube into a glass and adding the bitters. Ha! The sardonic laugh burst out with an explosiveness not even August had anticipated. Hardly. Callie Collins has been snatching wins from me for the past 4 years. If I hadn't swapped from long-form content to episodic, she might have done it again. So that's why you needed the win, eh? Between Callie and the lawsuit, yeah, it's been a rough couple years. She slid him his third drink. Lawsuit? Don't tell me you conned someone. There was something playful about her smirk that renewed his hope the night would end well. He forgot about Callie Collins. Nah, I'm strictly in the entertainment business. I just share the cases that people want to hear about. I mean, it's all out there for anyone to find. I'm just the storyteller. Some people can't handle their lives being in the public eye, but that's not my fault. I didn't commit any crimes. Trina popped a maraschino cherry in her mouth, and August couldn't help staring at those perfect Cupid's bow lips, practically begging to be kissed. He almost missed what she was asking him. So why were you sued? Another generous gulp. He tugged his collar. Is it hot in here? That first case. The wife ended up hanging herself a few weeks after the episode aired. There was a big blow up over it for a while, but it died down eventually. Then a couple years ago, I get served a summons. Turns out the woman's family was taking me to civil court. Wrongful death. Can you believe that? Trina's eyes widened and she leaned forward, elbows on the bar. August inhaled deeply, savoring the sensual notes of her perfume. Hints of vanilla, amber, sandalwood, all underscored by a warm musk that was nearly as intoxicating as his drink. What happened? August's gaze traversed her soft jaw and down the gentle slope of her neck before settling on the sweeping line of her collarbone. He shook his foggy head and dug out the answer to her question. Dismissed without even going to trial a few months ago. Insufficient evidence. Sounds like this is your lucky year. Did she just lick her lips? Maybe it is. So, Trina. He lingered on her name, twirling the half-full glass in his hand. How late do you work tonight? A mischievous smile curved up one corner of her mouth. I'm not supposed to get involved with guests of the hotel. How about this? After the award show wraps up in an hour or so, I'm going back to room 1224. If you should just so happen to show up after your shift, it'll be our little secret. And I'm here for the whole weekend. He passed her his credit card to pay his tab before downing the last of his drink. As Trina handed him the card back, he could swear she ran her fingers seductively across his palm. God, I love a tease. It was near impossible to focus on the rest of the ceremony. August indulged in 2 bourbons on the rocks and fantasies of a certain bartender with hazel eyes and a pixie face, rather than paying attention to the show. While he mingled with the other nominees in the lobby, he couldn't help but watch her as she served drinks behind the bar. The knock didn't come until 2:30 a.m. August pulled open the door to his hotel room, and there she was, coy smile on her face as she stepped in close to him. Eyes drinking in the curves of her body, he tried it himself. Had he thought her simply cute? No. This was a smoldering temptress that stood before him. Gazing up at him from under long lashes, she bit her lip and murmured, Aren't you going to invite me in? Raw desire ignored niceties such as invitations. Instead, his hand slipped easily around her waist and pulled her into the room. In an instant, they were a flurry of discarded clothes and frantic kisses that tasted of bourbon and maraschino cherries. It was just as he was navigating her towards the bed that she balked. August, wait. What's wrong? His kisses trailed along her shoulder and up her neck, breathing in her ear. I thought this was what you wanted. Protection. He smiled at her and held a finger up. I've got it. He crossed the room to retrieve a condom from the top dresser drawer. A flash of blinding pain and a sickening crunch caught him by surprise. His hand instinctively went to his cracked skull and came away smeared in blood. August stumbled and fell back against the wall. As he slid to the floor, he tried to make sense of what had happened. Trina held the crystal trophy, now cracked and stained with the same crimson liquid as his hand. His mouth struggled to form the question reverberating in his throbbing head. Sluggish lips slurred a half-whispered question. Why? Trina hastily pulled her shirt back on and knelt next to him. The contempt in her voice came like a fresh blow. Her name was Amanda Clark. She was my mother, and you humiliated her in front of the whole world just to become an internet celebrity. You might as well have put the noose around her neck with your own hands. As darkness closed in around him, he watched helplessly while she wiped her prints from the trophy and headed for the door. He could feel the slowing of his heart, each pause between beats stretching longer than the last. August desperately clung to consciousness as Trina opened the door and slipped the Do Not Disturb sign on the knob. She gave him one last glance, and he realized the look of malice on her face would be one of the last things he ever saw. It took all his remaining energy just to draw one more breath. She's going to leave me to die. As if reading his mind, Trina commented coldly, "If it's any consolation, you might finally break into murder podcasts."
There we go. Trina getting her revenge on August. It's not easy to write a character who isn't necessarily very likeable and still pull you along with the story. So Annie's done an excellent job there. There are so many clever things in this story, the way she references the potential for violence at the very beginning with the foreshadowing of the award. And that's then how Trina cracks August across the back of the head. Good night, thank you very much. In many ways, it would have been an easy route just to write this from the point of view of Trina, the bartender, plotting her revenge, etc., etc. But I think it's stronger as a story the way Annie's done it, with us seeing things through August's eyes and how he thinks maybe his luck's in with this bartender, and then things take a very dark turn. In terms of results, this was a peer-judged competition, the Autumn Short Story one over on Writing Battle. In terms of results, it was judged 10 times, as with all peer-judged contests, and it got 6 wins and 4 losses, which was an honourable mention, just missing out on the elimination stage in this contest. But I think it's great. I hope you enjoyed it too. Very well done, Annie. Thank you for allowing us to have this story on the show. Okay, next up we have Raw Toast by Rozanne Strydom. If you weren't involved in the competition at the start of 2026, when the cozy mystery genre was featured, you are in for an experience. What Roz has done here is she's taken the cozy mystery genre with her prompts of cozy mystery, antique collector, and ammunition, and she's written a terrific 1,000-word story of, it's a diarized form, so lots and lots of short excerpts written in very much in short diary form. I won't say too much more there because I don't want to spoil anything, but I hope you enjoy the musings of Detective Longbottom. Here we go. This is Raw Toast, written and narrated by Rozanne Strydom.
Detective Longbottom's Notebook. Private. January 7th, 2026. 9:15 a.m. Called into residence of very wealthy man. Can't say who, but very high-profile case. Marge is sour I got it, of course. 9:20 a.m. Met the very important man who cannot be named. Fine, his name's Gerald. Gerald Hoven. Never heard of him, but apparently big-time investment banker. Claims the turtle, a priceless antique necklace, was stolen from his mansion. Also, his wife was found dead at the scene. 9:25 a.m. Gerald wearing Shein socks. Odd for millionaire. But he's also quite delicious up close and smells of pine. Remind myself I am major homicide detective and he is suspect. 10:15 a.m. Saw wife's body in the pool. Gruesome stuff. Room seems too quiet for a place where someone just fought for her life. Clue: dark bruising around the neck, consistent with strangulation. Observation: Gerald seems more distraught over missing jewelry than his dead wife. Suspicious. 12:30 p.m. Left residence, waiting on autopsy report. No leads yet on jewel thief/murderer. January 8th, 2026. 8:25 a.m. Something odd about Amelia, the dead wife. Maiden name, Marriott. No social media, no bank accounts, no school or dental history. Almost like she didn't exist. 11:05 a.m. Autopsy report arrived. Cause of death, strangulation. No water in lungs. Struggle marks confirmed. Note, strange tattoo on her left thigh of turtle with inscription reading, raw toast. Raw toast? Random or clue? 11:30 a.m. Call Gerald in for questioning. Marge sees me talking to delicious man and is beside herself with jealousy. 11:45 a.m. Gerald about as helpful as cracked mug. Unaware of tattoo. As the kids say, sus. 11:55 a.m. Gerald is avid antique collector. Want to suggest that I, too, am antique, and would he take me home? But stop myself because I'm professional. 11:57 a.m. God, why am I so attracted to scoundrels? 12:03 p.m. Gerald reminds me of Dad. 12:10 p.m. I think I have daddy issues. Note, must investigate this later. 12:11 p.m. Contemplating therapy. 12:27 p.m. Keeps checking clock. What's he waiting for? 12:31 p.m. Left at 12:29 p.m. Can't detain without evidence, but, on a hunch, decided to follow. 12:48 p.m. I'm incognito, very Sherlock-esque. Trench coat, hat, fake mustache from Halloween '09. Staked out a shabby apartment building Gerald entered. 12:53 p.m. Tried to sneak in. Locked. Mustache caused sneeze storm. Flew off mid-sneeze, hit stranger in face. Outcome, compromised. Sherlock would disown me. 2 p.m. Running background on apartment residents. Mostly overdue parking tickets and one domestic dispute so far. 2:15 p.m. Unit 405 flagged. Owner arrested in 2006 for theft. Interesting. We'll check tomorrow. January 9th, 2026. 7:01 a.m. Knocked on 405. No answer. Peeked under door. Sneezed from dust. Neighbor said no one lives there, but a man visits. Description matches Gerald. Showed dreamy photo. Confirmed. Note, plot officially thickens. 11:09 a.m. Compared timelines between Gerald and man from 405. Roger. Found Roger's Reddit history, posts about antiques, collectors, and the turtle. But all activity stops in 2013, the same year Gerald's online activity appears as wealthy investor. Side note, the turtle is very sought-after artifact in seedy criminal community. 11:33 a.m. Check certificate for stolen necklace. Clue 1. Fake document. Necklace was replica. Clue 2. Gerald filed recent insurance claim. Deduction. Either thief is clueless or Gerald staged theft for payout. Question. Why kill wife over fake necklace? 1:45 p.m. Genuine turtle located elsewhere, in home of a different Amelia Marriott. Strange that both persons with the turtle necklace have exact same name. Confirmed the necklace missing from murder scene was counterfeit. 3:55 p.m. Major lead. Deceased wife's prints match Mary May Dugas of Ponchatoula, Louisiana. Known con artist who swindled at least 10 men. Began impersonating the real Amelia Marriott in 2023. Question: did Mary May swindle Gerald? 4:28 p.m. Still pondering raw toast. Why that tattoo? Heading back to crime scene to inspect. January 10th, 2026. 8:30 a.m. Rewarded myself with coffee and hash browns. Suspect I am genius, who will go down in history as woman who cracked a very important case. Can't wait to see Marge's smug face fall when I present findings. 9:30 a.m. Am moron. Marge thought I ordered hash brownies and reported me to HR. Don't have time for this. Have cracked case. 10 a.m. Ugh, must take drug test before proceeding. 10:15 a.m. All clear. Back to brilliance. 10:30 a.m. Time to present findings. Eek! Presentation. 10:45 a.m. The evidence. Gerald confirmed as Roger. Fingerprints don't lie. Con artist posing as investment banker to scam people. Amelia confirmed as Mary May Dugas, also known con artist. Deduction: Mary May impersonated heiress Amelia Marriott, real owner of the turtle, to con Roger into marrying her. Roger married her thinking she came with endless wealth and, most importantly, the turtle. 10:51 a.m. The twist? Mary May Dugas discovered Roger's background as thief. After wedding, she revealed true identity, convinced Roger to break into the real Amelia Marriott's home and switch the fake turtle for the genuine one. Problem? Roger didn't switch the certificates. Rookie mistake. 11:03 a.m. Clue: raw toast tattoo. Checked every bread-related item in house. Found one toaster with no plug or wiring. Raw toast? Shook it, heard a rattle, smashed it open. Inside was evidence. The evidence? The turtle, multiple fake IDs belonging to Mary May, and a note outlining her entire con, along with all the ammunition we need to get Roger. Mary May hid the genuine turtle in the old toaster. Wrote that she feared he'd kill her over it. She planned to leave the same night she was tragically murdered. For all her cons, she died exactly the way she feared she would. Deduction: turns out it was all an elaborate scam. Two con artists conning each other. Case closed. Motive: greed and betrayal. Weapon: strangulation. Evidence: toaster. Hero: me. Boss beaming. Marge turned odd shade of purple. 11:39 a.m. Am woman of the hour despite questionable Sherlock skills, threadbare dignity, and daddy issues. Considering framing mustache as symbol of triumph.
Very, very funny stuff from Roz there. I did have to keep pausing it while I was editing because I was enjoying it so much. I love all the throwaway lines and the pauses and the references to how much she suddenly realises that Gerald looks like her dad. And this wonderful silent antagonist of Marge, who for all we know is a perfectly reasonable person, but not for Detective Longbottom. And yeah, it takes several turns for the bonkers, and that's all good in my book. Very, very funny stuff. This story did really well in the competition. It came storming through the house stage and got to the knockout rounds, it got to the thrilling 32, the final 32 stories in a genre of several hundred writers. So very well done, Roz. And if you're a fan of the show and you haven't subscribed to Premium, do please give it a look. Do check it out. In Premium, you get 4 episodes a month as opposed to the 2 core episodes. Within those Premium episodes, you get interviews with the authors. You get the chance to be entered into the story selection raffle. More details of that are on Patreon and on social media. And of course, you get access to the newsletter. Both free and Premium subscribers get hold of that newsletter. We've had a load of new subscribers from the Writing Battle community and from outside the community as well. And Premium Episode 1 is completely free to download and check out and see if it's the kind of thing you'd like to have more of. I hope it is. Do please get in touch with any feedback. We're open to feedback here at One More Short Story. I'd love to know your thoughts. Okay, on to our last story now. I'll be honest, I've never read a story quite like this one. It comes from the conspiracy theory genre, from the Tempest Raven battle earlier this year, the peer-judged 1,000-word story contest, and it's called That's Puppet Town For You by Rev McLean. Rev had the conspiracy theory genre and pickpocket and kite as his prompts, and he's done something nobody could have predicted except him, and I mean that in the absolute best possible sense. Rev's done all the audio production on this. It's a unique style and it suits the story perfectly. I'm very, very glad I get to share this with you, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. This is That's Puppet Town For You by Rev McLean.
Puppet Town sang its familiar tune of trash and grime, a little ditty I'd come to know well. I stood in the pouring rain with my leather fedora pulled low over my red fleece brow. If my foam rubber beak had gotten the memo to duck for cover, it was pretending it hadn't heard and took each watery punch like a man. That's what I get for being a woodpecker, I guess. At least I wasn't as soggy as the poor chump sprawled across the entire length of the alley behind Fraggle's Fixins. Just another night in Puppet Town for Detective Pete Hammer.
Stiff's name was Rudder the Sneak, sticky-fingered chiseler with a mouth on him,
read the orange-furred flatfoot with a badge too big for the size of his job performance. Well, now his mouth is over there, I said with a nod to a piece of colorful cloth lying limp near a dumpster. Gonna be awfully hard to pickpocket when his sticky fingers are sticking to the bricks. The cop made an exaggerated gagging sound and then bent over. I couldn't see him paint the tar with chunks. He'd been standing behind a conveniently placed bin that obscured his lower half. But the noise told the tale. After he bounced back up, I waved him off so I could eyeball this mess. Damn, Rudder, you must have toyed with some mighty powerful folks to wind up as confetti. I moved through the carnage, though I stayed behind a waist-high wall outcropping. Before I could complain to the manager that I wanted a different crime scene, some Rudder bits caught my attention. There, as plain as day, was a soggy Velcro hand holding a business card. Velcro hand? I guess he really was sticky-fingered. I disappeared behind the outcropping with an involuntary grunt, as if emphasizing I was making a big move. I never quite understood why I did that, though I wasn't the only guilty party. Everyone I knew made odd noises to highlight their actions. It was odd, sure, but that's Puppet Town for you. When I popped back up, I had the card. There was a logo. A kite. The insignia of the wackos known as the Gloved Hand. I'd heard of them before. Conspiracy theorists who read about determinism in some philosophy class and decided that was their whole deal now, spouting things like, everything we do is by the hand of some unseen force, and we aren't truly alive, and none of us have legs. What kind of moron thinks of nonsense like that? I was getting too old for this shit. The Sock Bros cleanup crew checked in with me, And since I'd seen enough of Rudder the Sneak inside and out, I figured the next thing I needed to see was 2 foam fingers of whiskey. Hup, 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 chanted the little weasels as they began picking up fuzzy bits. As expected, it was mostly haphazard flailing that made a bigger mess. It was time to find out what happened to Rudder the Sneak. The Rainbow Connection was a seedy bar in a garden of salted earth. Jazz music played by an overdressed carrot man mixed with the stench of moldy fabric and dead dreams. A gambling alligator sat in an oversized chair across from another chair playing Hold'em. The chair held pocket aces between its plush arms, and the gator was watching its financial security elope with the furniture.
You got a lot of nerve showing up here, Detective Hammer.
I immediately knew the tall glass of water that voice belonged to. Chalice on the rocks. She had a perfect rim, and the foam ice cubes inside her chassis had edges in all the right places. Her plump lips pasted on the side of her tumbler needed a license to operate heavy machinery. No time for games, Cupcake. I turned from her and nodded at the mummy tapster. He went out of sight for 2 seconds and came back with a perfect whiskey sour. I maneuvered my flimsy mitts to pick it up and overacted a big swig. As always, the drink had no actual liquid. I slurped anyway. What do you know about kites, Chow? Chow's got real quiet. Never a good sign in my experience.
I don't know nothing about 'em, Hammy.
Sure, doll, sure. I noticed the condensation on her glass cheeks and followed her static eyeline to a finger man I knew well. Pinky. He was a digit averse to moxie on the best of days, but today he was twitch-free. I went to say hello. If it ain't Puppet Town's resident rat. I sat across from the finger. Pinky wasn't a thumb, but his face read like one. Hammer, I see you have our card. Got it off a poor sap who got rubbed out. Pinky stared at me. Kites, detective, are slaves. The string binds and controls them. He looked down at himself below the table where I couldn't see. We, all of us, are kites. I introduced my cult to the conversation. Yeah, so I hear. Didn't realize you were a believer, Pink. I wasn't, Hammer, until I saw the truth. The way he kept looking at himself, the boob needed a trip to the booby hatch. He was making me uneasy, and I wasn't a fan. And Rudder? The finger man looked back to me. He lied, took a card, and was planning to sell our secrets to the highest bidder. My beak smirked. So you had to send him to the bone house. We didn't, he explained. They did. He motioned again below the table. There ain't nothing down there but legs, pal. And then he said something that chilled my fluff. You ever looked? What a ridiculous question. Had I ever looked at my own legs? Of course I couldn't remember. No. Can't be, I whispered. My head slowly tilted down to see the horrible, fleshy thing inside me. Sup? My name's Jim. Just ignore me.
What a story. What a story. It's funny, it's clever, it's layered, it's riddled with all kinds of fun takes on the sort of detective noir genre. And at the end, the sudden jump to the hand inside and Jim, the reference to the wonderful Jim Henson there, it's absolutely superb. And it was extremely popular during the competition before the results came out. It got a lot of attention, and rightly so. And that's Puppet Town for you. Ended up winning the entire competition in the conspiracy theory genre. Richly deserved. Rev is a great member of the community. He's very generous, he's very giving, and he's also a heck of a writer and narrator as well. So he's done really, really well there. Watch this space for more from Rev McLean. I don't think I'll ever look at Kermit in the same way again. The next core episode will be available in 2 weeks. If you wanted to subscribe and get hold of the premium episodes too, that will be dropping same time next week. And as we said earlier, the first premium episode and newsletter are available completely free, no subscription required, so you can try before you buy, that sort of thing. Thank you again for listening to One More Short Story with me, Chris Fulwell. We'll see you next time.